Hey everybody, welcome into the Windy City Breakdown. I'm Tony Andracki here, joined by Andy Martínez and Kyle Millinowisch. And guys, it's World Baseball Classic. It's upon us now. You know, Team USA just got that awesome speech from Aaron Judge, so they're ready to run through a wall. Quick thoughts on you guys on that speech. It wasn't exactly Kurt Russell from Miracle, but still, I mean, it takes some gall to get up and deliver a speech like that to a room full of your peers. The little clip I saw from MLB didn't really inspire me a whole lot. But what'd you guys think?
I was gonna say, yeah, like what kind of wall are we talking? Like a paper thin wall? Because
Paper wall, yeah.
that did not really inspire me. I like it was again. I'm with you. I commend him. Like having to get up in front of all those guys and talk for sure not easy, but that wasn't really rah rah. Let's try and win this thing after losing to Japan in a heartbreaking fashion. That was kind of like yeah, like it is what it is. Hopefully someone else has got another speech coming up in a few days or something because that's not that's not going to get the guys rolling. I don't think.
Yeah.
Am I crazy for not caring about the speech at all? I was like, yeah,
Nope.
it's
Well, that's
nice,
fair.
but it's just kind of like, I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was good. Thought it was just kind of there. I don't know. I feel the World Baseball Classic, and maybe it doesn't have the same lust, or maybe it's just we're coming off the high of the Olympics, or I'm coming off the high of the
That's
Olympics.
fair.
But yeah, to me, I saw it. I was like, oh, yeah, this is sick, but not that cool. It was just kind of, it was like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the embodiment of the speech too, right? Is like it was just kind of like you guys both said, it was just like there. It wasn't like it wasn't it reminds me of, I can't remember who said it, but somebody I covered back in the day. Maybe it was even Joe Madden, but they were just talking about how like the like coach speech, like Kurt Russell in Miracle is one of the best, or Coach Taylor in Friday Night Lights, or Billy Bob Thornton's character in the Friday Night Lights movie. Like one of those things that like those speeches don't exist in real life because like the one, they're hard to do, they're hard to pull off. Two, they're very like made for TV movie like. And three, you can't just you over a 162 game baseball season, or even a World Baseball Classic where you're playing a handful of games, you can't like do that and then go out and play a 2.5 hour baseball game and feel like you're ready to like run through a wall the entire time. That kind of reminded me of that. But either way, the speech itself was kind of amusing, and also it's kind of funny to go from like Aaron Judge, who by all accounts is probably one of the best leaders in Major League Baseball right now too. I mean, everybody talks about his incredible leadership skills, as captain of the Yankees, and like who he is as a leader. But yeah, I think the thing, Kyle, that made me that take note of it is that it left me wanting more. I wanted a more of like a Hollywood-esque speech.
Yeah, see, yeah, I don't know if Judge is that type of guy. He's
Nah, I don't
just
think so.
he seems like a very, I don't know. I don't know if straightforward. He's the epitome of the Yankee way. Is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Epitome?
Yeah,
Yes.
He emulates the Yankee way. Maybe that was what I was trying to say.
Well, both
But
of them
he
work.
both
just,
work.
damn, 2 for 2. Missed the show and I'm coming in hot with words. Yeah. That was, to be honest, that just seemed like the most Aaron Judge type speech ever. Like it was very vanilla, and not like vanilla's good, not bad. It's just there. So yeah,
But
5 out
I
of
think
10.
to your, I think to your point, Tony, like that is kind of baseball in a nutshell. I think one thing I always see with like Cubs fans is like Craig Counsell doesn't yell or doesn't stand up for his guys or like fight. Or, that's not really how any manager is nowadays. Like Dave Roberts isn't going out there and like doing a Lou Piniella in the middle of an argument. Alex Cora, again, one of the better managers in baseball, isn't really doing that either. Like Pat Murphy's probably the closest thing, but he's also kind of like even keel throughout the game. He's like
Yeah.
that just doesn't exist in baseball anymore. It feels like, and so like when people are like Craig Counsell doesn't fight for his guys or doesn't stand up for his guys, like that isn't true. Like that's far from it, and like that's kind of how baseball is right now. Like everyone knows that it's a grind, and it's like you're gonna win some and you're gonna lose some, as cliche as that is. And like I think that the staying the even keel is the most important, and maybe that's what Judge was trying to go for because of that, and maybe that's what this USA team needs.
Yeah, I mean, it was also just kind of a funny thing for MLB to like send out on social media platforms and kind of act like it was the second coming of a Hollywood level speech. So
Yeah, Kyle, you're the social media guru. If you saw that, do you think you need to post that or?
It's a great question. Probably. I mean, well, it's Aaron Judge is gonna get clicks, and even if people think it's bad, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like, let's
yeah, I mean,
roast them.
we're also 5 minutes into this podcast, and we've talked about only that so far, so it gets the people talking.
Well,
There you go.
going off of speeches, apparently Michael Phelps spoke to the baseball team last night per Jesse Rogers, and his message was, "Y'all are the dream team. Every single one of you are picked for a reason. I talked about coming together." End quote. So that also seems riveting.
Yeah. And also for Michael Phelps, who, was in a very like individualized sport to deliver like a team speech to a roster of like 30 guys is kind of funny too. I mean, but interesting. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for both speeches, I'll say. But let's switch gears, talk about the Cubs, a guy on the Cubs who we know could deliver a passionate moment, maybe not a full speech, but if you guys remember Justin Steele in Milwaukee, a couple years ago, and really kind of got the team fired up. And also, I think people made way too much out of that one moment in Milwaukee. But Steele himself is back on the mound. He's gotten the all clear, he said, from Cubs camp, from his doctors to kind of full go after this elbow surgery that he had. This internal brace that he has put in. There's no timeline right now, and I'm not expecting the Cubs to just come out on, it's March 3rd here, and he's talked about it a couple of days ago, like to just be like, yeah, Justice Steele is going to be on the mound in the big leagues at Wrigley or wherever else on April 10th or May 1st or whatever else. But I'm curious, Andy, we'll start with you. Like, when do you think Justice Steele gets back on the mound, and do you make anything of the fact that he got the all clear right now?
I guess I'll put the over under around like May 15th. I think they play it safe. I don't think that it's like they're clearly, we've talked about the pitching depth, we talked about the starting pitching depth. I don't think it's a situation where it's like, hey, rush back. And I also think there should be genuine concern of like, what is Justin Steele when he comes back, and like, is he the guy that they saw in 2023 where he was, a Cy Young candidate and was one of the better pitchers in baseball, or is the surgery diminished and his maybe some of his prowess, and is he a little subpar, I guess, from where he has been at his best? That's kind of the question that I'm curious about, and like, I think it's asking too much to just say he's going to come back on May 1st and he's going to be the ace of the staff or even the number two of the staff, because I just don't think that's fair or realistic expectations. Like, I think when you come in, you're expecting him to just for yeah, I guess pun intended, to get outs, right? And if it's 4 or 5 innings and maybe it's not necessarily a quality start, but he's giving you a chance, like that should be good enough, and that's kind of the standard that should be there for Justin Steele. But I think the main concern is like, yes, he's full go and yes, he's healthy, but you also don't need to ramp him up and you don't need to like accelerate this thing. It's just like, get him back healthy and then kind of see what Justin Steele is, and what level he can reach as he progresses. Because I do think for as much concern as he's going to have like on May 1st or whenever that day is that he comes back, I think the June 1st or the July 1st or the August 1st version of Justin Steele is going to be even better. And but you don't get there without kind of babying him to get there, and I think that's going to be important too.
Kyle, what do you
Can
think?
I ask
Go ahead.
Can I ask a dumb question? I know this is, people might rip this apart, but I know he's technically medically clear now, but his timeline, has it shifted dramatically? Or because we were saying, I believe with Megan, we were saying late May, early June. So now it's just kind of a different way to say, hey, we're still on track for late May and early June, correct?
Yeah,
Essentially.
I think really the big thing is that like you can't do anything without like the doctor giving you this all clear. And I think I had no idea or no expectation about when this all clear was going to happen, right? Like Justin Steele was going to say it in March 1st or on April 1st or whatever. I think it's just good news that everything is recovering well. The fact that we've already knew that he was like thrown off a mound and stuff, and that like all of that has recovered. His arm has recovered well. He's rehabbed well. I think that it's just news and notable because of the fact that the doctors gave him the all clear. So yeah, I think that's the big aspect of it. But no, I don't think it has drastically altered his timeline. I mean, to my knowledge, the Cubs have never even given any sort of like loose timeline, let alone a concrete timeline of when they expect him back.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. So I think it's still, honestly, obviously, it's great news that he's coming back. But to me, maybe I just wasn't reading that much into it. I thought it was just another way to say he's coming back at that timeline that we discussed before. But hey, listen, let's fucking go. Justin Steele's coming back. Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like there is no like concrete timeline. There hasn't been a concrete timeline, but I'm curious like if like i- is it going to be like when he's all clear? Like is he kind of essentially like at the start of spring training? Is it like
Hmm.
is it the six
That's
week
what I
ramp
was
up that
thinking
normally
too.
happens? Because then if that's the case, then we're looking at like mid-April before he gets into games. And usually a rehab assignment is probably like 2 weeks. I assume for him a rehab assignment is probably going to be closer to like that 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe on the conservative side. That's where you start looking at like that mid-May timeline.
Yeah, and that's where like I when we talked about it, like you said, Kyle, a couple weeks ago. I mean, I still don't think we're going to see him at Wrigley or in another big league game until before June or until after June 1st. So Andy, you said May 15th over under. Like I'll take the over or under. I don't know what June 1st would be if it's over the May 15th range or under, but yeah, like I think that it's going to be that we're not going to see him for a couple months. I think they're going to be conservative with it, and I just think that there's no reason to not push him back. And like we talked about before, I mean, he's going to have 120-ish innings this year. I would be surprised if they even reach the 150 or over threshold. So if you have 120 innings, I mean, conceivably you want to bring him back June 1st or so, and then let him go. You don't want to have a situation where you bring him back May 1st or May 15th if he could, right? If he builds up and is able to do that. And then you have to give him a break or put him on the IL to rest his arm, or do the Cade Horton situation where you have 75 innings and you got to give, or 75 pitches an outing rather, and you got to figure that out in 4 innings or 5 innings. Like I think for when he comes back, you just want to give him like the leash and the runway to just take off from there. So that's why I think June 1st. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's a little bit after that.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
the quote he gave was May, June-ish. So take
yeah.
that as you will.
Andy, you brought up the question of what Justin Steele or the Cubs going to be getting when he returns to the rotation. I was looking up just his stats from 2022 through last season as a starter. Where do you think he ranks with pitchers among 80 starts? So he has 82 starts from 2022. Where do you think he ranks in ERA?
I'm gonna say like
Uh,
7.
I was going to say 11, 7,
Ooh,
11.
close. He's eighth overall among starting pitchers in ERA with a
He's
3.18.
good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we just. I mean, obviously we discussed it last year with Marquis, and we're discussing it now. But just how important a good Justin Steele is to this Cubs team, I don't think that can be understated enough. Like when this guy's going, he's going, right.
Right, and that's why you don't rush him back. That's why you play it safe. That's why you want to be as conservative as you can, because if you can get that version of Justin Steele back, which is of course what everyone's hoping for in this situation, if you're getting that back, you want that version back in August, September, and October at its
Yep.
best. And if you're rushing it back because person A in the rotation struggling, or and person B got an injury, and we just need this guy. Like, let's bring him up. Then you're not thinking of the long term for a team that's clearly thinking about playoffs in October. You're kind of not doing the team justice based on what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, 100% agree. And that's why, like, assuming he can get back to that level right away, right? Like, I think we've seen from other people who have had similar-ish injuries and recoveries. Like I think Spencer Strider, right, is like only hitting like 93 miles an hour right now on the velocity of his fastball, and like that everybody has their own recoveries, and I'm not like comparing like Strider and Steele are exactly the same, but I think that's really the main thing is like how do you make sure that Steele gets back to that level where he had the eighth best ERA over a 3-year stretch among starting pitchers? And I think it is that being conservative. I think it is making, getting him as many times off the mound as possible, in a bullpen situation, in minor league games, in extended spring trainings, in whatever it is that you can do. And that's what I think the Cubs are going to do ultimately, because like you said, Andy, and I agree with 1,000%, is like you want Steele when you need him the most. And I think the Cubs probably will have some PTSD throughout the year. The Jed Hoyer front office, the Craig Counsell coaching staff of like, remember the starting rotation in October last year? I mean, it was like Matthew Boyd and Prey kind of thing. And Jameson Tyone ended up being great. Boyd had one good start and then, struggled after that. But like because Cade Horton got hurt, you didn't know what to expect. And I think they don't want to get in that situation again. And they have 5 guys already that they can feel really confident and comfortable with. And that doesn't even include Colin Ray or Javier Assad or Jordan Wicks or Ben Brown. So I think they're in a good position where like uh where they can afford, as of right now, maybe 3 injuries change things, but as of right now, they can afford to give Justice Steele all the time in the world to get back to being the level of Justice Steele that we think he can be again.
I was going to say really quickly too. You mentioned Spencer Strider, and I think that comp has been thrown around a lot because it's a very similar. I'm pretty sure it's the same procedure that
I
Strider
believe so,
underwent, that
yeah.
Steele underwent, the internal brace. So that's kind of why that's always been the comp, because it wasn't an actual Tommy John surgery that he underwent.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we'll figure out kind of what comes next with Justice Steele. And Kyle, you're right. This doesn't necessarily like change anything, but still, I think notable that he has the all clear from doctors. But I want you guys to like put this manager's hat on. And as we were talking about the pod, one of the topics, I don't even remember how it like bounced into my head, but where should Pete Crow-Armstrong hit in the Cubs order this season? And I'll throw it to each of you guys first, and then I'll ask you guys secondly after that, where will he end up hitting? So, Andy, you want to start? Like, where should PCA bat in the Cubs order 1 through 9?
I'm gonna go like the 5-6 range and probably the 6 range. I still think he's like he had a 30-30 season. If he has a 30-30 season again this year, I won't be surprised. Like, he has that kind of potential, but there are still just so many flaws in his offensive game, right? The swing and miss, he doesn't get on base at a great clip. Like, I know, and I know this is probably where the conversation is going. I know, like, there's the temptation to want to bat him leadoff. I get it, right? Like 30 years ago, 25 years ago, he is your number one hitter, right? Fast guy, steals bases, like, great. Like, I'm a believer, the front office is a believer, modern baseball is a believer of like, you got to get your best hitter and at you the most at bats. Even though he's a 30-30 guy, he's probably their third or fourth best hitter on his best day. And I just don't think he should be getting those extra 5-6 at bats or plate appearances per week over other guys in the lineup.
Kyle, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I hate that I agree with you too. To be honest, I was gonna say seventh. That seems crazy to me. But like, I'm looking up where he hit in the NLDS, and for some reason, I was like, that's seemingly exactly where he should hit. So the lineup, and I'm looking, is this is NLDS game 3? It went Bush, Horner, Tucker, Saya, Hap, Carson Kelly, PCA, Dansby, Matt Shaw. Obviously, you had Bregman take out Tucker, so and then you'll probably add Big Mo or some combination of that as well. But
Yeah,
sixth or seventh, maybe seventh. I mean, can you imagine if it was like a 7, 8, 9 of PCA, Dansby, and then say it's by Steros at 9? Like, you kind of have another 1, 2, 3, a little bit of
Yeah.
shorts. And obviously PCA has the power, but ideally one day you would love to have him lead off, but he just doesn't walk. He doesn't get on base enough, like, at all. Right. Like, that's why I think I love Michael. And I know people kind of criticize Michael Bush in the one spot. I mean, maybe not. There's a ton of criticism, but he's not the ideal one hole or leadoff hitter, but like, he's a guy who gets on base a ton, him and Nico. So, and I think that's just so pivotal. So yeah, for PCA, I'm saying 6 or 7.
I know you were gonna ask about like where eventually he's gonna hit, and I know like the conversation was probably gonna lead to like whether or not he's a leadoff guy, and so I'm like kind of jumping ahead. But like, my argument for why he at least for the next 4 or 5 seasons won't be a leadoff hitter for the Chicago Cubs is because I look at like the roster construction and where contract situations are for the Cubs. Michael Bush is a year ahead of him in terms of service time, so as long as Michael Bush is in the organization, I think he's a better hitter than PCA, and I think he should always be hitting above PCA. And I actually loved the idea of Michael Bush hitting leadoff, and I think maybe not this year because I think Ian Happ can still be a pretty good leadoff hitter, or they can or it can fluctuate in terms of who's leading off. But I think in the long term, Michael Bush would be like the ideal leadoff hitter for this team, and for that reason, like, as long as Michael Bush is around, that means PCA is not going to be hitting leadoff.
yeah. I mean, I think that's probably true. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of I don't know about a lot, but I've seen fans wonder and talk about, should PCA be hitting leadoff, and I think it's the speed aspect. He's a hard guy to kind of pin down because yeah, he hit 30 home runs last year and went 30-30, but he hit what, 5 after the All-Star break. Like, I mean, I don't know what PCA is going to show up, what version of him as a hitter is going to show up. I think he's going to be dynamic player. I think he's gonna, win a Gold Glove, maybe a Platinum Glove this year. I could see him even dialing it up more on the base paths and stealing 40, 50 bases this year. 60, I don't think is insane. And I can see him being, a 7-8 WAR player because he has the speed, the defense, all of that. But like, does he hit for as much power as he did? I mean, how many home runs did he have last year, 25, that were pitches like well out of the zone that like they were incredible swings, and it shows it, an awesome level of like skill and talent. But does that automatically translate? I don't know. I would not. I don't think anybody would be surprised if he only hit 15 homers instead of 30, in 2026, or if he hits 30 again or hits 35. Like, I think there's just like a wide range of outcomes possible for him in the power department. And then on base percentage too. I mean, that's a huge thing that you guys touched on a little bit, but like you can't have a leadoff hitter with a 287 on base. Not in today's game. You just cannot. It doesn't matter if he's an old school type, like Juan Pierre, who gets on base or like, hits at a decent average, which PCA doesn't, 240, 250 lifetime hitter so far, or, and then can steal bases. Like, 287 doesn't get it done. I actually looked this up. There were 44 players who had at least 150 plate appearances in the leadoff spot in 2025 throughout all of baseball. EA's 287 on base would have been better than only one of those guys. So 43 out of 44 of the guys had a better on base than PCA. And that was Bryson Stott. He had a 280 on base percentage and 176 plate appearances in the leadoff spot for the Phillies last year. PCA, everybody else was 300 or above, a good 13 plus, 15 to 20 percentage points above where PCA is in terms of getting on base. So that's a huge gap that if he were to ever be a leadoff hitter, he would have to dial up the walk rate like to a pretty intense amount compared to what he has so far in his career if he's going to make it in the leadoff spot, or he'd have to not be a 240 hitter anymore and end up being more like 280, 290 because he walks so rarely. So yeah, it's interesting for sure where he hits. But yeah, so I mean, I asked you guys like, where should he hit? Do you think he ultimately will hit Andy like in the 5-6 spot and Kyle in the 7 spot? Do you think that's where Craig Counsell will pencil him in on opening day, and where we look back in 2026 and it's like, these are the spots in the order that he hits the most often in?
Yeah, I think that's where he will hit. I think in the long term, like if he's hitting 3, 2, 4, like in that area, I wouldn't be surprised, especially if he maybe develops at the
3,
guy
2, 4.
Yeah,
that
no,
was a weird
great math guy. That
That
was
tripped me up for a second too. Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like, you mean
I
if his
don't know.
on base is 324, he's not going to lead off?
Yeah, I don't know why I went that way. I apologize. I don't know what my brain was
Stick with the
thinking there.
words. I'll do the numbers around here.
Yeah, seriously. But if he's hitting 2, 3, 4, I would not be surprised if he develops like the guy he was in the first half of 2025. But I just don't think right now he's not that, and we don't know if he's ever going to be that long term. And if he is, again, great success for the Cubs. But like, I think if he's hitting 5 to 6 to 7, then that's a success. You pointed out Juan Pierre, so I was looking this up real quick. That 2006 season with the Cubs, he had 750 at bats and he had an 82 OPS plus. Thomas Ramirez, great hitter that year. He had 110 fewer at bats, posted 126 OPS plus. Wouldn't you want that guy having those 110 extra at bats?
You're saying Aramis Ramirez should have led off over Juan Pierre?
No, I'm not saying, but what I'm saying, but like that's why the argument.
Yes.
No, sure, yeah, maybe not.
Yes.
But like that's the argument of like why you want your best hitters getting those at bats, because they were an 86 OPS plus. Like he's 14 percentage points worse than league average, and he got those 110 at bats. And sure, maybe Aramis Ramirez isn't the prime example, but he led your team in at bats, and he was not your best hitter. And you want those 110 at bats to go to better hitters.
So you say this is so fun. So where would you have put Juan Pierre then? Let's talk 06 Cubs.
9.
Yeah,
Pitcher
probably
8,
9.
Juan Pierre 9.
Yeah. I guess I forgot about the pitcher.
What was his on base in 06? It was 330. So yeah, not like
That's not bad.
great. I mean, looking at his like 03, 04 run with the Marlins, he was 361, 374. So yeah, I mean, obviously not to the same rate that he was. So I was actually looking at on base percentage from the leadoff spot of all teams last year. The Cubs ranked 20th in baseball at 319. The only playoff team that had a lower on base percentage, again, this is in the regular season, was the Tigers at 317. So, I mean, it depends on how much you put or how much stock you put into guys getting on base, a little Billy Beanball, or if you want a guy like Aramis Ramirez leading off who will just slug for you and get those extra 110 at bats. I don't know. It's a great debate.
All right, so Kyle, where do you think, what batting order spot do you think PCA will spend the most amount of time in 2026?
Probably fifth. If you're looking at lineup construction and just kind of basing off a little bit of what we've seen in spring training, and I guess going back to the end of last season, it's going to be Nico or Bush, right, leading off. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
So
Or
let's
Hap.
just, you think Hap will go back to the leadoff spot?
I
think
wouldn't be
it's
surprised.
possible.
He gets on base.
Yeah. So the top four will be some combination of Bush, Nico, Bregman, and Hap
And
and
Seiya.
Seiya. So then six seems
All right, so here I'll give you guys my
six.
lineup if I were Craig Counsell and I was like managing the Cubs. I would go Nico 1 and you know,
Same.
it goes
Andy would
against.
hit him 10th.
Yeah, Andy would not even play him based off of his logic, right? But no,
Yeah.
I mean it does go against, and Andy, you're right. Like this is the way that front offices think. So like Kyle and I are just having a little bit more of the baseball fan, approach to it. But
Sure.
I love the idea of like Nico being on base, and because he hits for a high average and draws like a good amount of walks, not a great total like a Hap or a Bush, but he draws a decent amount, and because he's such a good base runner, even if that means stealing a base or just scoring from first on a double or scoring from second on a hit. And I still like that. And I still think that's super valuable to get a guy on base, that can wreak havoc a little bit on the base pass. So I like him. And then I would actually like Michael Bush second. And this goes back to something that still is like against type and how MLB is nowadays. But I don't like the George Springer, Ronald Acuna, Michael Bush come up, hit a leadoff solo home run. Like it sets a tone, but I would much rather the guy be in the second spot. If it's a guy like Michael Bush that we're talking about, who, for large stretches last year, I think maybe was the Cubs' best hitter against right-handed pitcher, I'd love him in the second spot. So you go Nico, Bush, I think Bregman third, Seiya fourth, which kind of stacks righties, which again, maybe a little unconventional. And then PCA fifth, Ian Happ sixth, Ballesteros seventh, Dansby eighth, Carson Kelly ninth. That's how I would line it up on opening day, and probably like pretty regularly throughout the year if I could. And I feel like that would take the pressure off Ballesteros a bit, where you don't have to have him hitting fifth or second or something like that. Like he hit third for a decent amount in September. I think him hitting seventh makes a lot of sense. But then you kind of stagger. You got righty and Nico, you got lefty and Bush, you got righty and Bregman and Seiya right there. But then PCA is kind of right there where you have a nice kind of pocket of like him cleaning up after Bregman and Seiya, who should be two pretty good on base guys and guys who, you might come up with Seiya on second in to start the second inning, and PCA is automatically up, and maybe there's a hole on the right side of the infield because they're holding him on. Like I just think there's a lot of little things that go into it. Like that's how I would line it up. I don't think that's how the Cubs are going to do it though. I think we're going to see Bregman hit second most often this year, and I think it's going to be a combination of Bush or Nico in the leadoff spot. And then I think it goes from, I think Ian Happ's probably going to spend a bunch of time hitting third, and I know fans are going to love that. And I feel like that could be what we end up seeing. And they'll like build things around there, and PCA will probably end up hitting fifth most often.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bush or Nico probably will be hitting near the top. I think Bush is just like the quintessential modern day leadoff hitter, like I've mentioned. But I just think this lineup is so much deeper too. Like when you're listing off the names, like Carson Kelly had a really good season. Was there for large stretches of the year was their best hitter. But I also think like that catching position I think is very volatile. That I like Yan Gomes was a really, really good hitter in 23 and then regressed really a lot in 2024. And I'm not saying
Yes.
Carson Kelly's going to regress like that, but like the catching position is really, really hard and really, really demanding. That like I think to expect what Carson Kelly did last season to just carry over, I think is probably not fair, truthfully. And I know Miguel Maya's there, and if he's healthy, like that should maybe help sustain that level of success. But you can't just count on that. And so I think the lineup is deeper, but you're right. I think Bregman's going to be hitting in the 2 spot a lot. I think Say is going to be hitting 3-4. I think the starting pitcher is going to matter a lot. I think Craig Counsell will maybe stack righties towards the top if it's a left-handed starter, and vice versa if it's a righty. But then it also becomes like there's not going to be matchups really being played like we saw with Michael Bush and Justin Turner. Like these are the guys. Like Michael Busch is going to be hitting near the top, righty or lefty, and that should be exciting for Cubs fans because I think Cubs fans have seen how good Michael Busch is. I don't think the rest of the league realizes how good Michael Busch is as a hitter. Like he's a really, really darn good hitter. And if we look at the end of the year and say this was the Cubs offensive MVP, I won't be shocked at all.
Yeah,
Bold
that is
prediction.
bold prediction.
I don't even think it's a bold prediction.
I don't think
I
so.
think
No,
he's
I
going to be
know.
the best hitter. Yeah.
I know. I was joking.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You had a very serious face.
It's the mustache.
I do think that is a kind of an underrated storyline so far out of Cubs camp is that like it by all accounts, and Counsell even said it too, that like Michael Busch seems like they are really going to give him the full runway at first base. And they were saying that before Tyler Austin got hurt, that like, it's not going to be the same platoon style that he has been in the last couple of years where he's basically only getting starts against right-handed pitchers. I mean, that could change, right? That could be something people say in spring and teams say. And so I'm a little wary of it until like it actually proves out and plays out that way in the regular season. But yeah, that could be huge. I mean, this could be because of that. Michael Busch could end up, like taking off, and this could be like him kind of cementing himself as one of the best first basemen in all of baseball, and not necessarily just even the NL. And get him to that point where like he really is kind of the next Anthony Rizzo because he's playing every day and he's in the heart of the order or leading off, every day alongside Seiya and Bregman and PCA and whoever else is kind of at the top of the order there. So I think that's interesting. And yeah, I don't know exactly how it is all going to line up, but to me, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Cubs will ultimately end up with Busch kind of in that leadoff spot more often than not this year. I would love to see Nico up there a little bit more and with like a longer runway against righties and lefties and see what that would look like. Ultimately, I think PCA hitting in the 5th spot would be the best for his development this year and be good for the team overall. But I could see it going to what Kyle said too, and like maybe he is more in like the 7 range, but which is kind of funny when you think of like your star player on your team is like your 7 hitter, right? Like your most marketable player is like your 7 hitter, and your highest paid player, or one of them at least, Bregman's up there, but like one of your highest paid player, Dansby, is your 8 hitter. Like that's not exactly how you would like draw this lineup up on paper, but it might be what's best for this team.
Yeah, 100%. And like you're right, like the guy that you market the most, you won't see him bat until the 3rd inning potentially.
Yeah. And the guy that you paid the most to until, this Bregman stuff is the guy who's playing, hitting 8th and maybe probably deservedly so, right? Like I can't make any case that Dansby should be hitting higher than 8th in this lineup. Like I don't know how
Well, Dansby just hit a home run in spring training, in case you were wondering.
I think he can be arguably the best 8 hitter in the league. I don't know how you make a case for him to hit, maybe against lefties he hits 5, but like I don't know how with the level of production he has, the fact that he doesn't take a ton of walks, and I don't know how he hits higher than like 8th in this lineup on a regular basis.
I think he's on a good team, and I think we could all agree the Cubs are a good team. Well, maybe me and you can agree, Tony. Andy's the jury's still out. But on a good team, Dansby is realistically a 7, 8, 9 hitter. Like if he's hitting anywhere in that range, you're probably in a good spot. And it's not like he can say for some reason he got hot and he was hitting 2nd. It's not like or the Cubs needed him to hit 2nd. It's a bad thing. But if he's in the 7, 8, 9 area, I think the Cubs are in a very good spot.
Right. And no, first of all, the Cubs are a good team and should be a good team.
Thank you.
But part of, we talk about Dansby's contract, but part of the reason you're paying him the 20 plus million, 25 million, whatever it is a year is because of his defense at a premier position. Right. And you're getting a league average bat with that elite level defense. And that's why you pay that premium. And so, yes, one of your highest paid players is batting in the bottom 3rd of the lineup, but large reason of why you're paying him is because of his elite defense.
No, for sure. I think that makes sense. Absolutely. Do you guys think PCA will have an on-base percentage over 300 this year?
It's a great question. No.
That's a really good question.
He hasn't.
No.
He has not yet. He has.
I'm gonna go no.
He had a 286 on base in 24 and 287 last year, so he's remarkably consistent.
So 288 this year?
Yeah. I think he will. I think he's gonna figure it out a little bit. I don't think he's suddenly gonna be like like Kyle Tucker up there, in terms of like that level of patience. But I think he's gonna kind of distance himself a little bit from like the free swinging ways that we saw from like Javi Baez and stuff. And Javi never really changed that approach. I think Pete is still young enough that he will change a little bit, and maybe not really because he walks a ton, but I think he might just understand what pitchers do to him more. And I think we'll see a little bit less like extremes this year from him, and I think we'll see a little bit more of a flat line, which may end up being more like a 260 batting average and a 305 on base percentage, and still a pretty good slugging, and ends up somewhere around 20 to 25 homers, which I think would be a pretty phenomenal season overall, and definitely not a guy who should be hitting in the top 3 or 4 spots of the batting order.
I was looking up his on base percentage in the minor leagues. His Double-A season with Tennessee, he had above 300 on base percentage. So like he's done it in the past at the minor league level. But
What was
obviously
it,
this is
like
the best pitch.
302?
No, it was like I just closed the tab. I think it was 371.
It's
Um,
324.
it's 324. Yes, it was. Hold on, 371.
371, did you say?
Yeah, 371 and 342 plate appearances
Holy hell.
with double
Yeah.
A
Hey,
Tennessee.
Pete, get back to that. You could hit first, second, and third.
Yeah,
Do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
he'd get the
I
golden
mean,
at bat.
yeah, he had a 350 on base and 150 plate appearances in AAA in 2023 as well. So like, yeah, he could do it for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I think it is going to be really interesting to see what kind of steps, if any, PCA takes offensively this year. Because I think we can all agree, like, he was an MVP caliber player for the first half, but like he was playing over his head a little bit. I mean, didn't Craig even say that once, Andy? That like, that he probably wasn't gonna finish with like the season with the same performance that he had for the first like 2 months of the year, like, or first 3 months of the season rather. That like he was playing out of his shoes a little.
100%, he was.
All right. So we talk about PCA a lot. He is on the World Baseball Classic roster for Team USA. So he got that awesome speech from Aaron Judge. He was not starting in the I don't know if you call it an exhibition game against
Yeah, I think so.
the
Tune-up?
Giants or whatever. Buxton was starting in center field. Also, it was kind of interesting. I was looking at the Team USA roster. There's only 4 outfielders. There's Roman Anthony and Aaron Judge, and then Byron Buxton and PCA, who only know how to play center, basically. So there's only 4 outfielders, even though it's a 30-man roster. It's kind of crazy. But talking about the WBC, wanted to do an exercise with you guys. Name one player that you're missing specifically for any number of reasons from the Team USA roster, and one player from any other country in the world that you're missing from their roster and why. Kyle, let's start with you.
So I was looking at Team Canada's before we dive into this. Correct me where I'm wrong. Is Freddie Freeman not playing for a specific reason?
I don't know the specific reason. I think he just said for like family or I don't know. I don't know if he said anything. I just know that he's not playing for Canada.
So that was the first one that came up, was that Freddie Freeman for Canada. But I mean, I'm assuming there was obviously other reasons as to why. Um, so I'll take that one off the board. The one that kind of stood out to me, and it's alluding to the fact of what you just were saying with Team USA having 4 outfielders, kind of surprised that Mike Trout isn't on the team. And maybe it's a legacy thing, or Clayton Kershaw's on the roster. Clayton Kershaw is retired. Like, how is Mike Trout? You would think, like, I mean, maybe this is just me, but when I think of like the World Baseball Classic and Team USA, the last 2 times around, maybe the last 3, like, I think Mike Trout. So for me, it's definitely him. Like, I know he's not the same player he used to be, but still, he's a guy he's done a lot for the game.
Well, and he made the last out in 3 years ago against Shohei, right? Like,
Yeah.
that was an epic moment. So I agree with you. I think that's a good pick. Andy, we can just stick with all Team USA right now and then go to the rest of the world. Is there anybody that stood out to you that wasn't on Team USA's roster?
Yeah, and I know he turned it down because of family reasons. I believe his wife is pregnant, but like Mookie Betts, to your point about having 4 outfielders, I thought Mookie Betts would have been a big asset to this team, both as outfield depth, but honestly as shortstop depth too, right? Like, I know Bobby Witt's gonna be playing shortstop, but like Mookie Betts has played some pretty darn good infield since he converted, but I think having that versatile option in Mookie Betts would have been really good for this team. That's The lineup is deep enough that they should be able to overcome not having Mookie Betts, but like I think with only having 4 outfielders, having someone deep like or someone that is versatile like Mookie Betts would have been great.
Yeah, we actually had all the same line of thinking on this because I said Mookie Betts, but the other one would be Corbin Carroll for me. Now I know he technically kind of couldn't because he's recovering from the hamate bone surgery, and it just wouldn't make sense to be playing in the WBC when he has a full season to get ready for. But I think in a perfect world, I would have loved to have seen what an outfield of Corbin Carroll, PCA, and Aaron Judge would have done defensively, offensively. And then you had like Buxton and Roman Anthony in there. I think that would have been really cool. But I'm with you both. Like Betts and Corbin Carroll were the two guys I said. But the first person I thought of when I thought of this topic was like, why is Mike Trout not playing on Team USA? I don't really understand that. Yeah, I haven't seen a reason either for that. Yeah, it was kind of weird. All right, so rest of the world then, is there a guy that you're missing? Andy, we'll go backwards, start with you. The guy you're missing from any of the other teams, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Japan, anywhere.
Well, Mexico, I'd say Isaac Paredes because I think he would be a really nice fit to that lineup. But mine were Puerto Rico, where all those guys that didn't get the insurance clearance, or even Javi Baez with the suspension. Yeah, Javi Baez with the drug suspension.
Just took all the answers.
All right, sorry. Those are my guys. I'll let you give your reasoning then, Kyle.
Javi Baez for that exact reason.
Yeah. What did he get?
It's crazy.
I think it stinks for the Puerto Rican fans because like they're hosting the tournament and like I don't know Arenado's there, I know Edwin Diaz is there. Like there are some big names, but like Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa, like Javi Baez, these are all like icons in Puerto Rico. And like if you could watch them play, like that would be awesome. And they're not going to be able to.
What did Javi get suspended for again? From like
marijuana use.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and it was 2 years suspension, for marijuana, right?
Correct me if I can't remember. It was like a weird suspension that started at some time that meant he was missing.
It was WBC. It spanned like multiple years. Yeah.
Yes.
So Kyle, your answer was Javi Baez.
My answer is Javi Baez. Who's yours?
Elly De La Cruz. I think for the Dominican Republic, I don't really understand like why he.
Where would he play?
Huh?
Where would he play? That's my question.
I don't know.
I think that's a valid one. Their infield is stacked.
Who's their starting infield right now?
Manny Machado at third, Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, and then I believe Vladdy Jr. at first.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, I think.
And then you got Junior Caminero as DH.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Perdomo is still. I think I have a hard time thinking about Perdomo as this like stud player, and I know he was
struggled for a long time.
Yeah. He's been solid, but like, he like had the star-making turn last year. So I think that's part of it. But for me, I think when I think like, a tournament like this, I think of like Javi in 2016, like pointing when Yadi Molina, like, threw the guy out. I think of like flair and flash. And to me, like, I think of Elly De La Cruz when I think of like flair and flash and, some like excitement. And that's why like I think it might have been insurance reasons why he wasn't able to play, but yeah, like I just think a tournament like this is kind of made for a guy like that with incredible tools that could throw him in center field. I don't really care where you have him play. Like just let's see that arm and the power and the speed and all of that on full display in a tournament like this. And he's such a dynamic player that he could just like absolutely take over for a couple games in a row and, hit 6 homers in a 3-game stretch. And like, I just think it'd be really cool to see what would happen if he did that, because 3 years ago, he wasn't really he wasn't Elly De La Cruz yet. So I think that would have been cool. And I feel like we're just kind of missing out as baseball fans to not have that this year.
Yeah, I think part of it too, like there's a lot of pressure for the Dominican Republic team because like I don't even think they made it out of pool play in the last WBC. Like it was kind of like a total disaster of their performance. They did not make it out of pool play in the WBC with a very stacked team. So I think like they were probably they're clearly going for like the surest bet to get them out of pool play. And maybe like Elly De La Cruz was too much of a wild factor of like not knowing what you're going to get. But like I think of like Randy Arozarena with Team Mexico, right? Like he steps up for the moment, or in the playoffs he steps up. It feels like every year. Like Elly De La Cruz feels like the type of player that could just like rise to the occasion. To your point.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
This is sorry to cut you off, Tony. This is kind of a random one. This isn't player specific. This is more coach specific. But do you know who the assistant hitting coach for Team Italy is? Would you know that off the top of your head?
Isn't it Mike Piazza on the coaching staff? Is that who you're thinking of?
Not Mike Piazza. I would not have associated this former catcher with Team Italy, though. Let's just say that. Very
Oh,
close, though.
Francisco Cervelli.
No, he's the manager. I'm saying assistant
right.
hitting coach, catcher. This guy's catcher, long career, couple World Series for sure. Switch hitter, maybe in the Bronx. Jorge Posada.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
If I said Jorge Posada was a hitting coach, would you have thought Team Italy? He was born in Puerto Rico, I believe.
Yeah, he is. He's
Yeah,
Puerto
he was
Rican.
born in Puerto Rico, and he's the assistant hitting coach for Team Italy. Like you mentioned, Francisco Cervelli is the manager, and I think their Team Italy star player his name is Miles Mastrobuoni,
Pretty good.
something like that. Yeah, right
Yeah.
there.
Cubs
Yeah,
fans very
interesting
familiar
fact
with
there.
Miles Mastrobuoni. Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right.
But Dusty
well, yeah,
Baker's, I was going to say Dusty Baker's managing Nicaragua too. So like there's a lot of
Is
fun
he?
coaching. Yeah, he is.
that's awesome.
Yeah. They're training at Dodger Town. So it was his first time back at Dodger Town since he was a player. Because obviously the Dodgers don't use Dodger Town anymore.
And I think it's pretty underrated that, I mean, maybe just to me, that Yachty's managing Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
Right?
he won a Winter League title in Venezuela with his team. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's managing a couple years in the majors.
Who is Nelson Cruz managing a team? Am I making this up?
He's the GM of Dominican Republic.
He's the GM. That's what it was. I saw him doing a press conference. By the way, he still looks like he could smack 40 home runs.
He probably could.
He has
Probably could.
biceps like a semi truck. I was like, Jesus, let me
I
get
thought
that
you were
bicep
gonna-
to the team.
I thought you were going to surprise us to say Anthony Rizzo was on the coaching staff of
That's
Italy.
kind of where I thought you were going to.
And like
yeah.
I was going to be like, how did I not know that Anthony Rizzo is on the coaching staff of Team Italy? I feel like that would have been huge news.
You know who's on the
No.
coaching staff for Team Brazil? We mentioned him earlier in this podcast. Jan Gomes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
who?
Jan Gomes is a catching coach for Team Brazil.
I was wondering what
No
happened
way.
to him. His last game was as a Cub, right? He
Yeah.
just left and then
Yeah, he never got
yeah.
picked up anywhere. Yeah.
talk about that is interesting. I mean, you talked about like how he was so good in what was that, the 23 season that he was really good
Pretty
in,
sure
and
it's
then
23, yeah.
and then 24, he struggled a bit and they kind of released him mid-year and then just never played again. But like 2023, I mean, he was like a nearly all-star caliber catcher. Like that's
He was
kind
really
of a
good.
crazy drop off.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
All right, well, let's switch gears a bit before we wrap up on this pod here. From baseball to football, so a couple kind of big things Bears-wise that we wanted to touch on. First off, Drew Dalman retiring. Just found that out literally like right before we started recording the pod here on Tuesday. Any thoughts on that, guys? The 27-year-old center of the Bears, one of the best centers in the league, and a huge part of that interior, that offensive line that was like a big part of the success last year to the Bears.
Yeah, I'll jump in first. And it's not much to add besides just more of the shock factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, 27 years old, went to Stanford. I wonder if there's any sort of the first thing I thought of was Andrew Luck, right?
Yeah.
When he retired during the preseason. I believe it was actually a preseason game against the Bears where the news broke. But
it was during, fun fact, it was during a fantasy draft that I had. We actually got together in person, and I was sitting across from my buddy JT, who is a big Colts fan. And somebody, I don't think it was JT, but I think it was somebody else, had taken Andrew Luck already in the fantasy draft. And we found out that he was retiring, and we were like, what the hell? Like,
what did you guys do? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I don't remember. I just remember.
No take backs.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna like rewind the draft, so I don't think we like did anything, remarkable. I think whoever had him just had to drop him and pick somebody else up. But
picked up Mitch off the waiver wire.
Yeah, I mean, but that was wild. A little different to retire now on March 3rd, but still weird. 27 retiring. I mean,
that's what I thought too. 27.
Yeah, was
crazy
or something when he retired, right? Or 28, 29.
29, I believe I saw.
Yeah, but weird to retire right after signing like a 4-year deal, and maybe years don't mean as much in NFL, but like still to sign a pretty big free agent contract and to be only 5 years into your career like this, strange one. Maybe we'll find out more soon.
So Andrew Luck was one of my first thoughts, but then my second thought was like, did they mean like Joe Thuney? Like, he's a little older, like maybe that. And I was like, maybe it was like a typo.
Schefter got it wrong.
Yeah, right. But then I'm like, no, it's Schefter. Yeah, that's right. It's like it's Schefter. You didn't get it wrong. That was like my first thought. It's like that had to be a typo, right? Like you were thinking wrong interior lineman, right? But Schefter doesn't get things wrong. So obviously, right? Yeah, that would be. Like Dalman's agents texting Schefter like that he's not retiring. He's only 27, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see more. Huge blow, I think, to the Bears,
Yeah.
who that was one of the things is like if they did anything to their offensive line, it was get a left tackle or address that position a bit in free agency of the draft. Not hey, now you have to plug the gap and get a center too. And like you said, like Thuney might be retiring in the next couple of years because he's getting up there in age too. So yeah, pretty big blow. I'm curious to see, how these guys like Poles and company like address this now, and I think it stinks too because you don't have as much time now. If the Bears really first got the first inkling of it today on Tuesday, it'd be difficult to like pivot and figure out when free agency starts in a week.
You lose a
I have
lot
a
of like
feeling they know.
leverage. Yeah, I was gonna say you lose a lot of leverage in terms of negotiating and trade and free agency for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And at least it happens before free agency. That would suck if it happened for the Bears in between like free agency and the draft. And then you're just like, shit, now we got to like really figure out what we're going to do. But the other thing, I think that one area that we all expect the Bears to address this offseason is the pass rush, particularly on the edge. And, Kyle, you had sent out from the Windy City Breakdown podcast account that Maxx Crosby, the Bears actually have the best odds to trade for Crosby. What do you guys make of that? I mean, I think it makes sense on paper. And Madden, I would give up whatever I possibly could for Maxx Crosby, but like, I don't. I mean, I think it's really interesting to see that like the odds makers who know what's going to happen and probably have the script in the NFL believe that Maxx Crosby is coming to Chicago.
Go ahead, Andy.
Kyle.
What's your take? No, I want your take first because I'm coming in hot after.
Well, was it Rappaport that had the report that they think he could be that he thinks they could be traded? He could be. Let me restart that.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes, he had the report. So I think that's probably why the odds shifted. It's going to be a hefty price. Like, it's going to be a lot of draft capital. I assume it's going to be like, does DJ Moore have to get involved? Like, does DJ Moore, can you put him in a trade and give him as like the number one target for Fernando Mendoza, who we assume is the number one pick? Like, is that what it is? But it's going to be a hefty price, but it's what this team needs.
yeah.
Obviously now besides the center, like that would be a fun addition.
I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I do. I think this reminds me so much of, and I don't know if there's any tweets around it today. Do you remember draft day where not the movie draft day, wow, literally draft day, the day of the draft, where Ashton Genty out of nowhere, and that shouldn't say out of nowhere, but he was minus 145 to go to the Bears.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh shit, like let's jump on that, right? Like these books have to know something. He didn't even sniff the Bears. I think it's something like that where it's like, let's move some money or move the lines. Let's get some money moving around and then he'll stay with the Raiders. And also, if you're the Raiders, I don't care how unhappy he is, he's a generational talent. Like you could turn things around quickly in NFL. I mean, unless you're getting an absolute haul, which I don't even know if the Bears have all the assets they could trade all the draft picks, but I don't know what team would want to do that. I think, to be honest, I think he stays with the Raiders, but feel free to come back to this when he's with the Bears next week, and I am flying high and mighty.
Well, and like, did the Bears have enough, like money capital to figure this out too? Maybe Dahlman's contract helps things a little bit, but it also leaves another hole you got to fill. So yeah, I don't know what it would possibly take. I think the funniest thing would be if the Cowboys trade for Maxx Crosby. You trade away Micah Parsons and then less than a year later trade for Maxx Crosby. I think would be absolutely hilarious to see that play out. But I don't know. I agree with you that the whole like the books know something is a hilarious like trope. I see on social media all the time from bettors. Trope, yes.
What's that mean?
It means like a theme, like a hilarious,
like a rope a dope with the trope.
Like a trope is like a theme or a running joke, or like a running storyline. What'd you say, Andy? A bit. Yeah, a bit's a good way to put it. Like you not knowing words but knowing numbers, Kyle. Like that's a trope.
But that's real.
Right. I mean, I think tropes are real sometimes too.
You know what? Going back to the Crosby thing real quick. My favorite thing to do is see these aggregator accounts have mock trades and proposed trades, and then just go to the comments and have all these fans call each other morons and idiots and like you have no idea what you're talking about. And I think it is the funniest thing. I think I was scrolling it for probably 25 minutes today, and I was just going to like different accounts, and like one of these accounts had like 25 comments, and I was like, hell yeah. And it's just a cesspool of idiots, and I'm just diving head first. I mean, I'm not commenting on it. I don't know what that freaking trade value is. I know it would be awesome to have him on the Bears, but people are like, "Oh, there's no way they're going to trade DJ Moore." It's like maybe they will. I don't know. It kind of sounds likely.
Yeah, everybody's an expert.
I know. Yeah, like I'm just sitting here with like a shitty mustache. I don't know anything.
I don't know anything is a perfect. Let's clip that off for social, Kyle.
Yeah, and it's exactly why you should listen.
All right, I think that's also a pretty good way to end the pod too. So this will do it for this edition of the Windy City Breakdown. For Kyle and Andy, I'm Tony. Thanks as always for tuning in. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and catch us each week throughout the Cubs season. We're specifically going to talk about Cubs, Bears, and really anything else, whatever we feel like it. White Sox, Bulls, maybe a little bit, Blackhawks, whatever we feel like, and then we'll throw some dates at Kyle and watch him get it wrong in the future. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.